And we start off. Did I hear somebody coming in? And it is beyond the time for admitting anyone. I have removed all the note takers. Let me just check if there's any other. I removed all the note takers that people had sent into the classroom. There are no more. Okay, very good. So if I put it on slideshow, global business. What do you think this global business, what do you think it is? Just looking at those two terms. What do you think it is? Hey guys?
Can I try?
Yes, yes, please proceed. Proceed. Okay, next one. Yes, yes.
I'm basically making a guess, so please, people, don't judge.
No, no problem. That is part of the story.
So when we look at e-business, we just break it down into, we split the word into two. So we have e and business. The same way we have email. So
Yes.
email, electronic mail, which means just sending mail instead of using the poster. You send it through electronic means.
Very
So you
good.
can say that e-business is conducting business by using technological or electronic means. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. It's always good to be able to guess, but don't guess in the exam. What about the global?
So for global, it means the electronic means should enable you to conduct your business at a global scale. Let's say spanning maybe the whole world, the globe.
Okay, very good. Somebody else? Thank you very much. That is a very good guess. Somebody else? You can guess also.
I want to guess.
Yes.
Yeah, worldwide digital activity.
Worldwide digital activity. A very good guess as well. Another guess from somebody else? Okay, no more guesses. Okay. I define two terms. Global business is basically a business that operates in many countries around the globe. They could have factories dotted all over the place. Like all these many manufacturers, they moved their factories in the Southeast Asia because of cost of production or cost of labor. And once you produce, you need distribution centers in different countries. You could have one distribution center in East Africa or even a distribution center in Kenya. And then you have many retail outlets to reach the customer. So a global business operates across many countries. Whether you are talking about distribution factories or distribution centers or even retail centers that are in many countries, so that you can reach your customer globally. So when you put the E in front of the business, then as somebody guessed, it is basically online. You're conducting that business online. But of course, you can't achieve everything online. The last mile probably is not online. If, for example, you order something, unless it is some software or something that is in digital form, if it is a physical element like a phone, it will have to be delivered to you, to your office, to your house, to wherever you are located. And therefore, it is not necessarily 100% digital. And I'm sure you have ordered something from your house. With the e-commerce, currently you can order anything from anywhere and it will be delivered to you. So this is basically what we are talking about, global business. What are examples? The big techs, they do it. Google does it, Apple does it, Microsoft, and all the other big techs, Amazon, eBay. You can buy my book from Amazon and it will be delivered to you wherever you are. eBay, Alibaba, and many other multinational corporations. Yeah, companies that is multinational, not multi. Multinational corporations, companies that operate across different nations, whether it's a bank or it's, I don't know, a manufacturing organization and so on and so forth, beyond the technology-based organizations. So there are very many examples. Are there local examples? Some of our big banks like Equity and KCB operate in different locations, and they would have a mechanism to provide services to customers located in different countries, particularly within East Africa. Similarly, insurance companies like Jubilee and others have set up shop within the region. Are there any examples of local tech companies that are global or conducting business globally through electronic means? Are there local examples? Do you guys know?
Yeah,
Yes, give me one.
we can talk of Safaricom because they're operating in Ethiopia.
They are operating in Ethiopia, although the Ethiopia business, from what I've heard, is kind of separate. It's not quite linked to the Safaricom in Kenya. But yes, Safaricom is probably a good example without looking into the details of how they operate.
Yeah.
Any other?
Yeah, I'd like to give the example of Africa Stocking. They operate in Kenya, Uganda, I think South Africa and Nigeria. But one of the founders is a Kenyan, so I'd give Africa Stocking.
Very good. And do they conduct their business online?
Yeah, they do offer SMS APIs and airtime APIs, and yeah, they offer APIs.
Very good. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Anybody else with any other local examples? So let me ask this question. We don't have many examples of local tech companies that have gone global. And I don't know how many of you are thinking about those who want to run their own enterprises. Are you thinking about, and I remember when you're in third year, a lot of you said you want to create a local business and you want to, in 20 years, to be in several countries. How many people are still thinking along the lines of having a tech company that will be operating in several countries? Yes.
No, I'm lifting my hand up because I am one of those who want to go global in their startups.
Yes. Give us an idea of what you want to do.
Mostly we are into broadband, and we are now getting into pure software development, whereby we approach clients, for example, a hospital, maybe the government, let's say Ministry of Health, and come up with, let's say, a HMIS system, then sell it to them, then provide maintenance over time. Then now after covering Kenya, we can now start going to Rwanda, Uganda, until we get global, or probably just East Africa.
Okay, very good. Very good. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Keep the ambition going. Anybody else? Anybody else who wants to be global? Very good, very good. Yes, I would say I have a business. I also run a small tech company that I started a long time ago, and one of our products we have taken it global. Well, not so global. East Africa. It's operating in several other countries in East Africa, Eastern Africa, South Sudan, Tanzania, Rwanda, and several other countries. A few countries in West Africa that even speak French. So we will transition to put other products online using cloud computing. They can access the services from the information system. But you guys, there's no reason why you cannot be able to do business globally when you grow up. There was one guy who was running an infrastructure company. Does he want to go global? I can't remember his name. Are you in class? Maybe he's not in class. We'll move on. What are the components of a global e-business? These are various components. You could have an electronic procurement, e-commerce, where you sell your goods and or services online. You could have online stores where customers can go to the portal and be able to purchase something. Supply chain management is an important one component of e-business because you need to coordinate manufacturers, suppliers, the logistics of getting your products to the customer through all kinds of means, including last mile, delivering by border and so on and so forth. So that supply chain is critical, right from the manufacturing to the distribution centers, to the retail centers, to the last mile. Customer relationship management is critical, where you're using digital platforms to manage interactions with your customers wherever they are located. You could also include digital marketing, where you reach or you promote your products through digital channels or online channels, whether it's social media, email, search engines, or whatever it is. Online marketplace, which is a platform, a digital platform, where third parties can list and sell their products to consumers. So you could also have an online marketplace. And of course, cloud is critical here because you want people to be able to access whatever it is, data, system, from any place. And therefore, cloud computing becomes an important part of it. And of course, if you are paying for the product or the service, you need digital payment systems. And therefore, you need to integrate whatever it is that you do to the digital payment systems that exist, including mobile platforms like M-Pesa. Are there any other components that I have not listed here that you think would be important, particularly the people who are thinking about running a global business? Anything that I've not listed here? Obviously, you do not need to have all of them. Cloud is critical. Of course, you need to have the e-commerce capability. You need digital payments. Whether you do digital marketing or not, you can choose to do all kinds of different ways of doing marketing. And whether you have supply chain management system or customer relation management system, it's depends on really what you are doing. So these are the major components. And you configure your digital business exploiting some of these components to do your business. Any question? Comment? Okay. We have different models of e-commerce because e-commerce is a big component of this global e-business. We have what we call business to consumer, which involves transactions between a business and the consumer or the customer. So if you are selling products like mobile phones, computers, and so on and so forth, you want to do business to consumer kind of business model. Yes, somebody's asking a question.
I wanted to ask, can quality assurance, a department as quality assurance, be part of a component of global e-business in terms of ensuring that products that are delivered to customers are not defective?
That is important, and this is an important part of your development of the product. But now what we are looking at is how do you make sure that once you have that product, how do you make sure that you can be able to reach your customer wherever they are? So for me, that is an internal thing that within your business that you do. But once you have been able to do that and your product is of high quality, the right quality, so which other components do you need to be able to do business globally? That is the purpose of these components. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so business to consumer. So whatever product you are selling, it's from a business, and you are targeting consumers. So that is a business model called business to consumer, B2C. Then there's B2B. This is business to business. You are selling your business and you are selling your products or services to other businesses. In the first one, B2C, I mentioned you are selling whatever it is. You as a consumer, I'm sure you have bought lots of things. Yesterday, I bought some soap online, which is delivered to my house through Boda. Yeah, that is business to consumer. What about business to business? And I'm sure business to consumer, you as a consumer or as a customer, you have bought lots of stuff online, whether it's perfumes or mobile phones or whatever it is, and then it is delivered to your location. What about business to business? What is an example of business to business? Where a business sells to another business through digital platforms. An example?
Salesforce.
Mhm.
Yeah, they provide. What if, from my understanding, they provide? I'll give an example. They provide business to business transactions in the sense where they partner with many corporations to cover their CRM aspect. So, for example, in Formula One, they don't handle interactions with their paying customers. So what Salesforce does, it integrates a service where instead of Formula One having to interact with their paying customers, they provide enhanced, customized responses to customers in terms of providing them with personalized recommendations for tickets. Instead, so I think, I don't know if it's Liberty Media who is paying Salesforce, but I think that's one aspect of business to business, and also cloud computing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And if you look at a lot of these big software manufacturers, they don't go to the customer directly. They go through another business. So they have their distributor in a country X. That distributor is now the one which deals with the customers. So they do B2C. So in the original, when we were developing our software in my company, we developed software on Oracle platform. And therefore we were distributors of Oracle. And therefore Oracle would be shipping Oracle platforms to us, and we'll be selling those platforms to our customers as we sell our solution. So for Oracle and us, we are doing business to business, and then us, we are doing business to customer or to consumer. So yes, that is business to business. Any other example? Yes.
Sorry, maybe an example, maybe you think Huawei, they provide routers and other hardware products to internet service providers such as Safaricom, which in turn now Safaricom provides internet to its consumers.
Very good, very good. So as you establish your global business or global e-business, you have to determine, do I want to deal with consumers directly, or do I want to deal with business which in turn deal with consumers or customers directly? Which model do you want to adopt? But there are also other models. There's consumer to business, consumers providing good services directly to businesses. I don't know whether we have any examples of that, which is very, very rare, having consumers selling to business. We have any examples of that? I couldn't think of one, of consumers selling to businesses or customers selling to businesses. Or even the next one, customer to customer or consumer to consumer. Yes?
Can you say freelancing platforms such as Upwork or Fiverr being part of the consumer to business, where individuals offer skills and services to the businesses out there?
Yeah, maybe we could do that, because what are you selling? You are selling your talent.
Or people who crowdsource data or in online surveys. So companies are paying consumers for their opinions or data or participation in market research.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. What about consumer to consumer, customer to customer? Customers selling to other customers.
Stuff like Gigi, eBay, Etsy, where even I can sell a used product, a used phone to another consumer out there.
Yes, and but then you are using somebody else's platform in the middle.
Platform, yeah.
Yes. So that is an example. That is an example. So you're using, it's like the third party creates a marketplace for everybody, and people can offer their products there. A lot of universities also have this for students. They have finished their degree, they want to sell their books to other students. So there's a platform. So we can create a platform, and those platforms would be actually driven by students. And you can go to that platform and say, I have this book, Introduction to Operating Systems. Does anybody want to buy it? And people bid. and you sell through a platform. Or you could have other things like if you are studying abroad, like when I was studying abroad, I couldn't carry my TV. So I actually didn't have anybody to sell to, and I just left it in the house. Whoever came to the house had an advantage of having a free TV. At that time, we didn't have those kind of platforms. At least there is students, I see students abroad selling their beddings, selling other even used clothes and all kinds of things through a platform to other students. So this is C2C. There are many examples of that. And I remember one of the students in the 4th year project was creating a platform like that. I can't remember which year, but I remember a student who was creating a platform where the students can sell their individual products to other students through that platform. So as you think about your business, global business, you need to think about which model will I use? Will I use any of these three or any of these four? The more popular ones are the B2C and B2B. And probably C2C is gaining prominence with third-party platforms that create a marketplace for everyone. Any questions on this? Yes.
In the consumer to consumer, have you mentioned something like PayPal?
PayPal, no. PayPal tends to be a facilitative platform for payments. So in all these things, whether you're doing B2C or B2B or any of these four models, you need to be able to pay. Even in this C2C, if I have a platform where students can sell their wares to other students, they need to be able to pay. So I need my third-party platform needs to integrate a payment platform.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought that because PayPal enables the users to trade with one another directly. So,
or if they do that, if they enable others to, then they have a C2C.
okay.
PayPal basically is used as a payment platform which can be integrated into any of these business models.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where does platforms that are subscription based, not necessarily streaming services or such, let's say something like YouTube, they have a subscription, they have a place where someone can subscribe to a particular channel, specifically to get specific content, not necessarily what's already out there on YouTube, or platforms like Patreon, where someone can pay so that they can access exclusive content. Where does that fall into?
I think it's a business to consumer because that is a business. Netflix, for example, I will give you an example of Netflix. It's a business. And you have consumers who are subscribing. So they are buying services. So for me, it's a B2C. Do you agree?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because that subscription to a service is a purchase by a consumer through a digital platform from a business. Yeah, I would classify it within the B2C. Other questions? Yes.
Yeah. Can there be a situation where a business model, it exists like for both, like it's a form of B2B and C2C, because for the case of Patreon, it's very easy for someone making the content to also be a consumer. So I think that was the curious part of the previous question, where the business person who is creating the content can very easily be a consumer of other content.
Yes, that is possible. You can combine this. You can do B2B plus B2C. So you could be selling your products or services to businesses, which in turn sell to consumers. But you can also have a separate arrangement where consumers can buy directly from you. In which case, we are operating both business models. In institutions like that, then you have to make sure that if you're doing B2B, and then you're also doing B2C, then you must make sure that you do not compete with the businesses or unfair competition with the businesses that sell your products or services. And then the regulator of that industry must make sure that there is no unfairness. Or if there is unfairness, it is reported to the competition authority. I will give you an example. In the olden days, the regulatory regime in Kenya was such that the Tier 1 operators like Safaricom could not provide internet services directly to consumers. So they would provide point-to-point links to ISPs, internet service providers. And therefore, and then the internet service providers would then provide internet to the customers. So Safaricom was only allowed, those Tier 1 operators were only allowed to do B2B. And then ISPs would do B2C. But then the regulatory regime changed. And then operators were allowed to, Tier 1 operators were allowed to do all the way to the customer. And I did a study in 2007 and predicted when that regulatory framework was unveiled that this would lead to the death of ISPs. Because if Safaricom then can provide internet direct to the consumer, they can compete out the ISP because they can provide more competitive costs. But what happened, I'll come back to your question, whoever is asking a question. But what happened was, Safaricom, as it moves to provide services to the customer, their point-to-point cost of links would be cheaper than the cost they would provide to an ISP, because they're still providing point-to-point connectivity to the ISP. But for themselves, they can absorb even that cost, and they can say that cost is zero. And then they charge the last mile connectivity to the customer. And therefore, the ISP is bearing a bigger cost of point-to-point connectivity than the Tier 1 provider. Therefore, that is unfair business competition. And I was proved right, because a lot of ISPs followed. I had actually gotten a license for the University of Nairobi to be an ISP at that point, before that regulatory framework changed, and I got a license for the University of Nairobi to be an ISP. But things changed rapidly, and we had to stop using that ISP license because we formed another organization that was bigger than to provide internet services across all universities and research institutions. And I said we will operate with that because I was also a board member of that organization. I didn't want to compete with the organization. So this is so you can combine, you can do a combination of this. But we have to make sure that, of course, the regulator would need to make sure that there is no unfair business competition. When a business is competing with its customers to sell the products that they're selling to the final consumer. Yes, that was a question.
You have already answered the question in your explanation.
Oh, okay. Okay, any other question, comment? So the answer to the earlier question was that you can combine these business models. So as you think about your future e-business that spans across the globe or several countries, you have to think, what combination of business models will I adopt? Will I do strictly B2C or B2B or a combination thereof? Or am I in this business of C2C? In which case I'm creating a platform where customers can come and sell to other customers. I think there's a platform for farmers to come. I think Safaricom created a platform for farmers to bring their wares and they can sell to other customers. I think there's a platform like that. And there could be platforms for anything in any industry, whether it is in health, in agriculture, in whatever. The opportunities are there. What are the key enablers of global e-business? Let me just mention a few. Obviously, digital infrastructure is one, because you need internet, you need digital connectivity. If you are selling products to end consumer, you need the connectivity to the end, and that is why connectivity is a big issue. To reach the last mile, somebody in Wajir should be able to use their end user device to be able to shop online or to buy something or to buy a service, wherever it is. So that connectivity to reach that consumer wherever they are. Cloud computing is critical. E-commerce platforms are critical. So all that is around digital infrastructure. So these are very big enablers. Second enabler is innovations with AI, big data analytics, IoT, and other emerging tech. They become big enablers to doing business globally. Others are supportive legal frameworks, because you need to do everything within the law, whether it is data protection, like we have a Data Protection Act of 2019, which is largely built around the European GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations, or international regional trade agreements. The AU is creating African Continental Free Trade Area, AfTA, and where we can be able to trade between countries within the region. And therefore, you need to observe those agreements. You need to observe data protection laws, and so on and so forth. Intellectual property is important. In Kenya, we have a number of intellectual property laws, the Industrial Property Act, the Copyright Act, Trademarks Act. All those are legislations around intellectual property. So when you're doing your business globally, you need to make sure that you're compliant. to all these legal frameworks because they support business across the globe. Global payment systems like PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Alipay, M-Pesa, all those digital payment platforms. But you can also use cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin or Ethereum, to pay for some of these things. Kenya does not quite support cryptocurrencies, but there's a lot of cryptocurrency transactions that are taking place in Kenya, including this company that came to take our data from people here. They are being paid in cryptocurrency. So these are digital payment platforms, and finally, there's logistical and supply chain infrastructures like shipping networks, inventory management solutions like GPS tracking, third-party logistical providers like Uber to do last mile borders, and so on and so forth. Yes, question?
There's an experience I had recently, and I thought I'd just bring it up. Maybe you can advise us to see where that we can categorize it, because
Yes.
we have business to business, then there's client to business, then there's client to client. Now,
Yes.
do we also have a business to regulator or a business to local authority? For example, I was in Bungoma last week, and we were trying to see if our company could supply internet to a certain hospital, a county government hospital. Now, during the pitching and the negotiation with the hospital, during the last stage, we discovered that before you could supply such a service to a government entity, you first of all must be in a list. There's a list in the county government whereby they call it a list of those who have qualified.
Pre-qualified. They call it a pre-qualified list.
Yes, they said it was called a pre-qualified list. So they told us, as much as we have assessed everything and we see you guys are able to provide the service we need and everything, before we go ahead, we need you to also be in this list of pre-qualified, so that in case anything comes up later, they won't say we gave you this contract because we know you. Now, the same can still be possible. Let's say, for example, Starlink is trying to bring its service globally to Kenya. Now, they can decide to just ship their devices to Kenya, then we can buy it as consumers, then connect through satellite. There's no point where the government might really need to be involved technically. But legally, this aspect can still come into play. So I don't know, is there such a thing probably?
No, there isn't such a thing. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to be compliant with procurement regulations and procurement law, because they say you can procure through a number of ways. One, you can put out a competitive tender where people now bid and you will choose the best. The other one is you can procure through a list of pre-qualified suppliers. So you put out a call for people to be pre-qualified to provide different products or services, or goods or services. So we are dealing with a procurement issue. This is a procurement issue. And those counties, because they are part of government, they have to comply with the procurement law and regulations. And that is what they are trying to do. Yeah, it has nothing to do with these business models. Do you understand?
Yeah, this is well understood right now. I was really confused, but now I'm getting it.
Okay, sawa. Any other question? So I had put out this enablers of global e-business because you need to be able to, like for example, the last one, you need to be able to reach your final customer. So if you're buying a car from Japan, you have to go through a shipping company that ships the car from at the destination in Japan, comes to Mombasa. Then you have to think about how it moves from Mombasa. You could have another company that delivers it to Nairobi, and then from there it moves to wherever you will be. RFI, these inventory management solutions, GPS tracking, you're going to be able to track wherever it is. You know, it is deep in the sea, near somewhere, I don't know, where India or wherever it will be. And you can know when it is. So through electronic means, you can track the product. When you send something by any of these couriers, you can be able to track where it is in the system through GPS. And then, of course, at the end, you require all these third-party logistical providers to reach your eventual customer. So these are issues you need to grapple with as you think about your global business. The infrastructure, if there are new developments in technology that you can take advantage of, which give you opportunities, you need to be able to comply with legal frameworks, payment systems. Eventually, you want your consumer to be able to pay. Which payment platforms will you integrate with? And of course, you need to think through the logistics of reaching your customer. So it is not all purely electronic, because this logistics involves physical movement. But you can track the physical movement just the way you track most of these solutions. Any questions on these enablers? Yes.
I wanted to ask, especially with regards to the last bit on logistical and supply chain infrastructure. Under the event management solutions, I think it's fair to say it's been 8 months since Uber, Bolt, these ride-hailing apps have switched to electric boda, and we've seen so many charging stations within the city. Actually, I had an opportunity to empathize with one of these riders and just ask them about their work modes, and just along the river, this Riverside Drive, mkienda tu juu after Prime Bank, there's a charging station there. It's an arc ride charging station with so many electrics. And well, let me wrap this up quickly. So their work mode is 11.5 hours. They need to clock in 11.5 hours. You don't pay for the bike, you don't pay for charging, and basically you don't get cut commission, and you're getting paid a basic salary. And we've seen resistance from so many taxi drivers, especially with regard to Uber, Bolt, and all these other apps. But and as an outsider looking in, thought, well, these are good initiatives, and so many people seem to have picked them up within Nairobi. And I was asking myself, why? I'm also asking you because you're someone who has so much experience with, allowing technology to permeate in so many spaces. So why isn't this technology like RFID and why isn't it proliferating to other cities as easily? Like in Kisumu, it's so hard to get a cab personally. You can get a cab, they'll come to you and then they'll start haggling with you. What's the standardization for that? Because that's something I really struggle with in this country. Why isn't it standardized and proliferated?
I don't know. I mean, ask yourself. I remember I was in Eldoret and I was trying to look for an Uber. I thought I would just open my Uber app and call an Uber, and I was told, "Oh, Eldoret, we don't have an Uber, but we have a local one," which does not work very effectively. Mombasa is very well served with Uber. I'm just using Uber as an example. And I think for me, the proliferation of some of these emerging solutions is dependent on the infrastructure that you have in the various locations. Nairobi obviously has got very huge coverage of internet, connectivity, and so on and so forth. So a lot of it is actually related to the first one, digital infrastructure. To what extent is your penetration of the digital infrastructure in that location? And if it is not very well developed, including the mapping, like for example, you need to be able to map, if you're using Uber, you need to be able to map. I mean, you need to have mapped all the roads and everything, and to a good degree. So I would imagine it's dependent on these other infrastructures, the availability of all these other infrastructures. I don't know whether that is correct, but I am sure this is a contributing factor.
Yeah, I agree. The maps are really bad in Kisumu, personally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it becomes very difficult for to run a Uber business in Kisumu, because if I say I am on Oginga Odinga Road, and the system doesn't know where Oginga Odinga Road or some other smaller road off Oginga Odinga Road, it doesn't know where to go, and then you have challenges. Yeah. Somebody's raised their hand. Yes.
On the same topic, I was just trying to wonder. Basically, we learned at some point that some applications like Google Maps were employing things to do with the knowledge-based system, whereby a different organization would sit down and try and map up an area. Let's say in Kitale, they would map out the whole of Kitale and all the roads that are there, then have some sort of database which has that information about all those roads. Then let's say another application would come and pick that data and then map it out, so that that application can get the map from the knowledge base. Now, there's another option of having technology now. For example, I can come and just get data maybe from Safaricom about movement of phones in an area. Then I can tell that if I'm getting 1,000 phones in a day moving in a particular part from one town to another, I can assume that is a road. And now using such a technology or idea, I can map out an area from the data I'm getting from a telco, let's say like Safaricom, about movement of phones in an area. Now, I'm just trying to wonder, is this the issue that Stephen is talking about? Is this a problem that is coming from the application provider? Let's say, for example, Bolt. They are having an issue with mapping, because there's another day I went to Kikuyu. I was trying to meet a client somewhere in Kikuyu, and there was a construction which was going there, and I was using Google Maps. I went round trying to find a path until I just parked the car and took a boda. Now, I'm just trying to wonder, is this an issue to do with the how do we really come up with the maps at the end of the day? For example, is Google relying on the knowledge base of the maps that we came up with locally and had a knowledge base? Or is Google trying to capture the mapping from the way the app is picking locations from the phones it's been installed in? I don't know. Maybe you can just comment on that.
I don't know how Google does it. I don't have the inside story of how they do it. But I remember when Google came to Kenya for the first time, they came to me and said, we want to use you as students to map out Nairobi. And basically they came and engaged the students with maps and so on and so forth, and digitizing all the information that we have around our roads in Nairobi. And this is how they initially did it. How they do it now to move to other places, obviously that place in Kikuyu is not very well mapped, and I'm sure all of us have got experiences of using Uber to places where it takes us around and it tries to tell us to turn right, and you can see there's no there's a building on the right, there's no road, and that is poor mapping. That's definitely poor mapping. So I don't know how Google does it. I don't have the information, but I remember when they came, they initially were doing it in a very manual way of taking our maps and digitizing all that information. and putting it in a database or knowledge base somewhere. And I don't know, maybe this is still the way they do it, or maybe they have found using Safaricom big data. Now, the challenge with Safaricom sharing that big data, as Kevin or whoever it was saying, is there is no legislative framework to share that data. Like, for example, Safaricom can sort out our traffic problems easily because they can see through their data all the information about where we move in the morning and how many people are moving in a particular road, like Langata Road. And you can see there are so many people moving on Langata Road. You can see there is traffic problem there. So how do you share that information with the ministry in charge of transport so that they can do something about certain roads which seem to be congested? Because you have that real-time data that can show where congestion is taking place. How does Safaricom then share that data with the ministry in charge of transport? So we have a big challenge of we don't have a framework for sharing data, particularly these private organizations like Safaricom. The financial institutions, they have a lot of data about us as individuals and our financial information. How do they share that data with governments, with anybody else who requires to see information about finances of Kenyans? So we don't have a framework for sharing that data, and that is one of the big challenges. So if Google wants to use Safaricom data or this mobile operator data, then they need to strike a relationship with Safaricom and access that data, but making sure that they observe data protection laws. So they should make sure that they don't know that it is me they're dealing with when they see that my number video, because that is why data protection is there. But organizations sell data. A lot of organizations sell the customer data to other people, and that is why you see lots of people targeting you for marketing to buy stuff from them because they have bought certain data from certain organizations that have your data, and they know that this guy is interested in cars or whatever it is, and therefore you see Toyota targeting you. Do you want to? I'm just using a useless example like a car. Yeah. So we have issues. I don't know whether I've responded to your question, but I've told you what I know.
Yeah, very, very well. Very well.
Okay, very good. Any
Yeah,
other question?
thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Are you guys dealing with working with cryptocurrencies? Or you don't have enough money? Okay, let's move on. Collaborations. How can we collaborate in global business? Just looking at this collaboration, what are the various collaborations that we can have in global business? Now that we understand what it is, let me ask that question. How can we collaborate? Or what are the various collaborative mechanisms? Okay, it looks like you don't want to think. Okay. Partnerships and alliances whether we talk about joint ventures between businesses, strategic alliances or partnerships, supply chain collaborations, e-commerce platforms is a form of collaboration because you find businesses working with customers through the e-commerce platforms. And therefore, an e-commerce platform is a form of collaboration. is a collaborative platform. Technological collaboration, cloud computing. Whether you're using it to scale your operations, to manage your data, to collaborate with other partners in different jurisdictions, offers a kind of a technological platform for collaboration. API integration. Businesses integrating their systems and data using APIs. In turn, allowing partners to collaborate on solution development, sharing data, and even automating business processes. Open collaboration, crowdsourcing. Somebody mentioned crowdsourcing earlier. Open source, where people come together to develop a solution, a software solution. And crowdsourcing here, we are so talking about whether we are crowdsourcing for ideas, for designs, for solutions. And there is, these days you can create a platform where a company says, I want to develop a solution on this. This is my problem. And you go to a crowdsourcing platform where people can go and see, this is the problem the client has. And people can be able to bid and say, this is the solution I provide for that problem. You're crowdsourcing for ideas and solutions. And there could be a price for the best solution. Just in the same way you do hackathons, where you go somewhere and sit and try to create solutions, or even sit in your own space and try to create a solution to a problem that a customer has. So you can do this through crowdsourcing. And there could be a platform to crowdsource for ideas and solutions. And there could be money associated with the best solution. So companies do this instead of creating your own R&D department. You say, my R&D is everybody in the world. And you say, this is my problem. I want to make sure that Elon Musk, all these rockets he sends to the outer space, normally they used to be discarded and thrown into the sea. I want it to be able to come back and reuse it. Can anybody give me a design, a solution that we can use? And therefore, you're saying the globe is my R&D. And you put out a problem and you say, let anybody who has a good idea come up with a solution. And you say, the best idea, I'll pay $5 million US. And therefore, you get a solution. And I've read several things from several books and papers about people who have created all kinds of interesting solutions through crowdsourcing like that. And you get very good ideas and you pay them off, and you have a smaller R&D department now that builds that solution into a final solution. So that is a form of collaboration. Open source software development is a form of collaboration. Talent collaboration. These freelance platforms like Upwork, where you are looking for anybody who has talent to be able to do some work online. Or even what we do outsourcing. When you don't want to do things within in-house, and you give it out like IT services, customer support, software maintenance, and back office operations. All those you can outsource to outsourcees who are cheaper than doing it in-house. That is talent collaboration. You can also do content collaboration, influencer marketing. I'm sure you guys know about influencers. And global brands or companies can really market their products through influencers, affiliate marketing, businesses collaborating with affiliate partners globally to promote their products or services in exchange for a commission. Obviously, an influencer or an affiliate marketer, this is all about this is all content around marketing, co-branded campaigns, yeah, joint marketing campaigns. This is all around marketing and content. So this is a form of collaboration: talent, content, open collaboration, technological platforms, and so on and so forth. Another one is financial collaboration, payment gateways. You are using the payment like PayPal. You are collaborating with PayPal, or by integrating PayPal into your solution to enable payments is a form of collaboration. Fintech services companies, cross-border financial transactions, currency conversions, cost-effective international money transfers. Those are a financial collaboration. I've been going to Uganda in the last 1 year, doing some work for the government, or it's developing a data strategy for the government of Uganda. And once in a while, I have to pay some things in Ugandan shillings, and I would have Kenyan shillings. So I found this group of young fellows in Kampala. They have their own fintech solution, and you just send money in whatever currency in the region in East Africa, and they will give you very competitive rates, actually better rates than the bank. And I wanted to pay some people in Uganda, and I had Kenyan shillings. So there's a number that you send your M-Pesa money to that number, and they do conversion, and you give them the target customer, and they will send that money. They will tell you this is the rate, and then they will send the equivalent in Ugandan shillings. And they have a very small outfit, and they make money that way. And they even provide better services than banks. So I don't go to the bank when I need currency within the region. I go to these young fellows, and they can do that using their whatever. So that is a form of collaboration. Are there others? There are many others. I'll put them there: logistical and distribution partnership, whether it is in shipping, third-party logistical providers. Like, for example, in Kenya, we are thinking about the post office. In Kenya is a potential third-party logistical provider in e-commerce. Because we have post offices everywhere. And if you are delivering products to customers in Kenya, somebody is in Kisumu, Homa Bay, or wherever, or in Mombasa, Malindi, you can be able to deliver to the nearest post office, and that person will be able to go there. Post office really has been running the whole traditional business of letters, and nobody writes letters anymore. So we see e-commerce as a huge opportunity. And to have been given contracts by UPU. UPU is Universal Post Office, or United Nations, is a United Nations Postal Union. And they gave me a contract in 2005 to develop a strategy for the post office in Kenya. And at that time, it was evident that letters was something that was going to die, physical letters. And the strategy that I developed at that time was all around technology, using technology for communication. E-commerce was not a big thing at the time. But they never implemented this strategy, and that's how they have remained so behind, and they are bankrupt. They don't have any money. They're asking the government to bail them out with 12 billion Kenya shillings because of really poor leadership and pursuing the wrong business model. Legal and regulatory compliance. There are many partnerships, collaborating with legal advisors. Like, for example, when with our Data Protection Act and GDPR in Europe, there are many legal companies that have come up to occupy that space where they ensure that you can comply with the data protection regulations. And so that is a form of collaboration. Businesses would be hiring these legal firms to make sure that they can ensure they have compliance with the GDPR, Data Protection Act in Kenya, and there are data protection acts or legislations in different countries. Sustainability collaborations, you are talking about businesses collaborating with non-profits or governments to promote sustainability initiatives. Sustainability these days is a big issue, including climate change. Or companies partnering with NGOs, CBOs, local businesses or companies to implement either sustainability initiatives or CR initiatives to address global challenges like environment, poverty, education. So if, for example, you are a company that wants to promote environmental conservation in a particular locality where you work, like, for example, Magadi Soda, that manufactures salt from Magadi, very close to Nairobi here. And they want to make sure that whatever they do, they are conserving the environment. They're probably not the best. They are not the best situated to work with communities, to mobilize communities to conserve the environment. And therefore, they will go to community-based organization, CBO, or an NGO, which is located in around Makadi, Kajiado, to work with communities and mobilize communities. How do we conserve the environment? And they put their money so that they give something back to the community in terms of environmental conservation. So these are a form of collaboration. How technology gets involved there, I'm not so sure. Particularly with sustainability collaboration, there might not be a lot of E components, but we can build E components to some of these collaborations. So these are all forms of collaboration: sustainability collaboration, legal and regulatory, logistics and distribution partnerships, financial collaboration, content, talent, technological, open, and so on and so forth. I want to stop there for today and ask whether there are any questions. Any questions, comments? Okay. Yes.
Do you think it would be a good idea, for example, if a student was to come up with an app that people can download from the Play Store or App Store, that it picks your location, whichever place you are, it just picks your location. You can decide a day of sharing location. Then, let's say I'm sharing my locations for this week. Then it can be picking your movement along an area, let's say in Nairobi. And then if a lot of people install that app, this app will be collecting data with the rights of the users, but it will only be collecting data anonymously so that there'll be privacy. Then sell this data to Google to do Google Maps and improve their maps. Then this app can have a backend of an AI that is learning the movement and comparing with other locations from other users, for example, from the apps that are installed on different phones. Maybe you can comment on that if it would be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, a good idea is, it is only good if it is solving a problem. So you need clarity on what problem am I trying to solve with this idea that I have.
The problem would be there's a serious problem with Google Maps, especially in Africa, because they you see, in a country like America, they are very disciplined. If they are going to a specific place, they purely use one direction. The roads are well designed so that there's no need of trying and using shortcut. But in Nairobi, there's an issue of jam. There's always jam every day all over the place. So that you find that if somebody is coming, let's say from Syokimau to Westlands, they can decide to use the normal route. But sometimes there's a lot of jam. They might try and use a different path, maybe go through Pangani. So you see, if Google Maps knows that this is the direction to use as the main route, then it realizes later people are using different routes. It will stick on that route as this is the only way. But you see, if an app is able to learn that people are actually using shortcuts because somebody is moving from point A and ending up at point B. So their destination is point B from point A for the whole week. There's a day they're using only this route, and then there's a day they're changing the routes. And a lot of people are doing the same thing. But at the end of the day, they are moving from point A and ending up at point B. So you see, an AI is able to tell that this is a shortcut that is being used. Maybe I don't know.
Yes, obviously, that is a good solution. That is definitely you are solving a real problem, and you are trying to put some dynamism into the whole thing, and learning into the whole business of moving from A to B, and you are learning what decisions other people are making, and so on and so forth, and making use of that. Because if Google Maps tells you this is the shortest route and this is the one with the least traffic, it will not change, as you're saying. You will not change, you will stick to that. But 10 minutes later, that road is very jammed. Yeah. And there is no way of now changing the route. So definitely that will be a very good solution if you can be able to do that by incorporating AI. Is that a project
Excuse
that
me,
you
sir.
have proposed to do in your fourth year?
No, this is just an idea that came right now. I'm doing something else. Maybe I can do it later as a business venture.
Yeah. You can do it later as a business venture. Yeah. There are many ideas. Yes, Melissa. Who had raised their hand? There was somebody who had raised their hand.
It was wisdom.
It's me.
Bakar.
Yes.
Yes.
This is just an addition to what Edwin was talking about, but
Yeah.
the traffic issue, I feel like it's more of an infrastructure and legal issue, since for number one, people in Kenya don't respect the law, especially traffic laws.
Yes.
So people are usually first of all, people behave crazily on the roads, and there's no, let's say, legal repercussions for people who do not follow traffic rules. And for infrastructure, for example, in Nairobi, there are so many, which still comes back to the legal issue. There's so many traffic lights everywhere across the city, yet they are hardly ever used. And even then, in places where the lights are still present, they are also police officers. So the infrastructure is itself not used, and again, the laws are not respected, or let's say obeyed. And
yeah, true.
Yeah, wisdom. But that is where AI now comes in. For example, you see matatus. Matatus are very prone to not follow the rules and follow the law. They are very prone to look for shortcuts, especially if there's jam. But we understand that all matatus in Nairobi, they have a designated route which they should use. Now, this is now where the solution now really comes in, because you see, AI has the ability to mimic a human being, but have strict guidelines so that it cannot be corrupted. Now, you can see that we can still incorporate and make it a must for compliance that matatus have a gadget that is picking their location as they move. And this can be incorporated with the National Transport Authority of Kenya, so that this gadget is just picking data and feeding it to a database somewhere. Then we can have the Ministry of Transport and NTSA regulate Matatus using such an app, so that it is going to be learning how this Matatu is behaving on the road. If it is changing routes, because it has point A and point B, and it has a designated route. So if it is it's moving from point A to point B using a different route, it is definitely using a shortcut. So you see, at the end of the day, as much as these people don't like following rules, now technology can now come in and now follow them and ensure they follow the rules, because it is just picking data even without them knowing.
Yeah, but at the same time, Edwin, if the reason why the Marathons behave the way they want to the way they behave is because of a very simple fact. The Marathons operate on this fact. You are given a car and you are told, you and your makangas, the driver and your makangas, you are told, I want 10,000 shillings every day. So, and any money you make is yours. Any money you make over and above 10,000 shillings is yours. So you have to get money for fuel and get the 10,000 shillings, and anything over and above is yours. So you want to optimize your movement. You want to maximize how much money you make. So if there is a solution that enables you to follow the shortest route or to avoid places where there is traffic, obviously they will accept such a system easily, because it is in line with their aims, because they want to maximize how much money they make at the end of the day. So I don't think they will resist it, because it is coming to help to solve their problem.
I think if possible, we'll form a team after school. Maybe we can pursue it, and maybe Professor Waima, you can maybe guide us.
Okay, no problem. I know Professor Wiganjo had a Matatu project. I don't know how far it went. You, as part of trying to do that, I think they mapped all the Matatu routes and put them online. But I don't know how far that project went. And therefore, we, as part of trying to do that, we can also work with those guys who did that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so somebody is trying to come into class at this time. They must be jokers.
Sir, any tips for tomorrow? Parting shots.
I have recommended tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day you present your milestone 1. Basically, milestone 1, what we want to see is you have a real problem you are trying to solve. That is basically what we are trying to do. Do you have a good problem that you are trying to solve? And with that problem, do you have a solution? So it is the initial ideas. Is that something you have really thought through carefully about? This is a problem, and you can be able to describe how you're going to solve that problem. And then you create a roadmap of how you're going to do it. Basically, that's it for tomorrow. I have proposed that it should be postponed because I saw that some students didn't have projects, others didn't have allocated supervisors or people to mentor them as they do this. I propose that this be postponed to next week or another week until we have those things done. This is a discussion we're having online as faculty. If it changes, then it might happen, might not happen, depending on how the discussion goes. So we'll see on Thursday. I had proposed that Thursday I have only a few slides to go before I change, and I want the assignment 1 students and assignment 2 students to be ready to present that day. So please note, we will have presentations on assignment 1 and assignment 2, which are in the classroom. Otherwise, we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you very much. Thank you.